Students, today we will be doing the topic of neuron cell and the xylem and phloem from the specialized cell. This study will be superficial. We will be doing detailed videos for electrical communication, and in the later videos it's a lone chapter of neuron cell. This will be superficial, very small knowledge. We will be just doing the labelings and the functions of this. The real definitions, the real purpose, the real functions will be done in the later videos. So first, just let's jump in. Alright, this long part, this tube-like structure is known as axon. This is the largest and the longest part of the neuron cell. Like this part is attached to skin of the hand, and this is attached to the spinal cord. So this axon is the longest part of the neuron cell. If we see down this side, this thread-like structures attached to the axon are known as axon terminals. At the end of the axon terminals, there are synaptic knobs. These are known as synaptic knobs. These circular-like structure, these structures are known as synaptic knobs. If you move on to this whole structure, these thread-like structures, which is attached to the further structure, the axon is divided into further structures. So if we see these thread-like structures which are attached to it, this circular structure where these threads are attached are known as dendron. These thread-like structures are known as dendrites. We will be doing their purpose, every single purpose of axon terminals, of synaptic knobs, of axon in later videos in the later chapter. We will be just studying the purpose of neuron cell, nothing else. And then this circular structure, this all empty space is known as cell body. Here is new mitochondria present is here, cytoplasm is present here, nucleus is present here, ribosomes are present here. So this is the cell body where all cellular organelles are present. So if we now move on to the purpose of neuron cell, first we will be talking about two MCQ things. Examiner can ask you two MCQs question: which is the longest or the largest cell of a human body? So neuron cell is the longest cell of a human body. So it's the longest cell of an human body. If we see the second thing, the second MCQ can come upon the question: which cell consumes most energy? Like either sperm cell, either skin cell, either whatever type of cells there is, which consume the most amount of energy. So the most amount of energy is consumed by a neuron cell. So it consumes most energy in an human body. So now if we move on to the third point, the third purpose of a neuron cell, this can come in the theory part. If our skin got hurts, like here, if I put my hand on a frying pan, it's hot. So how my brain is gonna know? So it sends an electrical impulse to my brain. So it's responsible for electrical communication. Let's say, for example, I broke my finger. So how is my brain gonna respond to that stimuli? So it's neuron cell that is attached to my finger, to my brain. So it's traveling through, it's sending an electrical impulse to my brain for a response. So what would we say? It is responsible for electrical communication. If we move on to the third point, our brain then sends a response. It sends a response like we have to apply any environment or any medicines we have to take. So the brain sends in stimulus to our neuron cell. So the neuron cell takes that stimulus and change it into an electrical impulse. The whole process is another video because that's a really big process. So we will be doing in the further chapters, not in this chapter. Just I have to clear your concepts. The brain sends in stimuli. The stimuli is converted into an electrical impulse by the neuron cell. Just memorize this for the specialized cell topic. It converts electrical impulse it converts an stimulus into an electrical impulse. So this is the whole purpose of a neuron cell. We will just recap quickly. This longest part of a neuron cell is known as axon. This thread-like structure is further divided from axon is known as axon terminal. The circular-like structure is attached at the down point of axon terminals are known as synaptic knobs. This thread-like structure divided into axon from axon is known as axon terminal. This axon which divides into a larger part, this whole part is known as cell body because this contains all the cellular organelles. This part which is dividing into the thread-like structures are known as this point. This point is known as dendron. These thread-like structures are known as dendrits. The most largest or the longest cell of our human body is the neuron cell. The cell that consumes the most energy is also the neuron cell. The cell that converts a stimulus into an electrical impulse is also the neuron cell. It is also responsible for electrical communication. Without a neuron cell, you can't control your handles. So this is all for the neuron cell. Now we will be moving for the phloem and the xylem, the easiest topic of all. We will be doing xylem and phloem at this point of the video, at this level of the specialized cell, because I don't want to burden you further in the transport of nutrients in plants. So first, let's draw the diagram. If we draw the diagram, first we will draw xylem. Suppose this is a xylem vessel from a trunk of a tree or stem of it. This is what phloem, and this is what known as xylem. So if we focus on this talk, we can first examiner asks in two ways. First in MCQ, second in theory. In theory, examiner wants us to know its similarities as well as differences. It won't ask anything except for the similarities and difference. It won't ask what is xylem, what is their purpose. It will ask only for the similarities or only for the differences or in further in the MCQs. So we will be first talking about their similarities, differences both together first verbally. Alright, xylem and phloem. These both are present inside the stem. Xylem is a dead vessel. Phloem is a living vessel. Now, what's make it a living cell, living vessel, and what makes xylem the dead vessel? Xylem don't have cytoplasm in it. Xylem don't have cytoplasm in it, whereas phloem has a little quantities of cytoplasm. We studied the cytoplasm is a living matter. So I'm not saying phloem is filled with cytoplasm. It has few quantities of cytoplasm, and that's why it is considered as living cell. And that's why, because xylem don't have cytoplasm in it, that's why it's known as a dead cell. It's a hollow tube. It's also a hollow tube. This is the similarity. What is the xylem wall made of? We studied it's a cell. Xylem, this is a cell, 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 this whole is a cell. So if I say what is xylem walls made of or cells wall made of xylem is the same thing. If we say what's the xylem wall made of, or we say what's the cell wall made of a plant cell, is the same, because xylem is made of cells. So if we say xylem walls would be made of cellulose, because a normal plant cell wall is made of what? Cellulose. The plant, if we talk about phloem's cell walls is also made of cellulose, but there is a little difference. Xylem has, along with cellulose, has lignin in its wall. This xylem's wall is lignified, and the lignin is deposited on the walls with cellulose of the xylem wall. So if we say phloem does have lignin but in small quantities, whereas xylem has abundance of lignin. So it has lignified walls. So what's the difference with lignin or without lignin? Lignin is just a cement. Like if you have an Asian house, they use cements in their houses to support it, to modify it. So it's just like a cement. It gives support and strength to the wall. Now we talk about their purpose. If we talk about their purpose, everyone would say it's xylem is responsible for transport of waters. That's really bit wrong. That's at all wrong. Because the first purpose of xylem is support. What I mean by support? We human body have skeleton to support our brain, to support our organs. But trees doesn't have a skeleton support. They don't have a skeleton. So what's keeping them straight? Stem. Many of you would be saying stem, but that's the wrong answer. Because xylem is like a metal rod inside the tree that's holding the weight of the branches, of the leaves, of everything. So xylem, the first purpose of xylem is for the support of the branches, for standing up for supporting the tree. Now if we say why the purpose of xylem is to support, because we talk about it has lignin in its wall. Because of lignin, it's rock hard. Lignin makes xylem rock hard. That's why it's capable of standing the weight of a tree. So the first purpose is support. The second purpose is transport of water or minerals. So the second purpose is for the transport of water and minerals from the roots. The phloem does not play any part. I told you phloem does have lignin, but in small quantities. So it's a flexible tube. It doesn't play any role in the support of the tree. So what's its purpose only? The purpose is to transfer assimilates. Assimilates are what? Nutrients like sucrose, glucose, or whatsoever. If we now start writing their purpose, now we would write the purpose. Alright. First we will be beginning with xylem. Well, first we will be talking about the similarities. It's a hollow tube. It's a hollow tube. Second, its wall is made of cellulose deposited by lignin. It's a living tube or a dead tube. Why it's a dead tube? Because it doesn't have cytoplasm. It's a dead tube. The fourth, what's its purpose? It's this purpose. What's its purpose? Support and strengthen the tree. What's the purpose of its? Transport of minerals. Now I will be telling you a new word for all of you. You should know this word, because if you write transport of minerals, that's completely wrong, guys. That's a vague name. Examiner wants us to know new names like ascend of sap. What's sap? Cell sap. What is a cell sap? I told you guys, every fluid, that very fluid that has water and minerals in it is known as sap. Ascend means, like xylem takes it upwards. Ascend means to go upwards. So it means ascend of sap. This is the real name of the transport of minerals. Ascend means to go upwards. Sap means water and minerals. That's it. Now we move on to phloem. We would write, it's a hollow tube, it's also a hollow tube. Wall made of cellulose, its wall also made of cellulose. It's a dead tube, it's a living tube. Now the purpose. Does it plays any role in the strength? Does it plays any role in the support? No, it doesn't. Why? Because it doesn't have lignin in its wall. That's why we only write cellulose, not lignin. No role in support. That's it. What's then the purpose of it? Transport of assimilates. Water assimilates again, like glucose, sucrose, or nutrients that cell needs to fill. Now this is a new word for you. Many of you it would be a new word. To fill the source to sink gap. What does it mean by source to sink gap? What does it mean by source? The part of the plant that makes the nutrient is known as the source. The source, where is it coming from? Like glucose assimilates, where it is coming from is known as source. What is the meaning of sink? Sink is the place where is the nutrients needed. Like the leaves have the glucose, roots needs it. So root is the sink that needs it, leaves is the source which make it. Now if we talk about where is glucose stored? If we talk about a random plant, if we talk about a potato plant, potato is basically glucose. So it's made in roots. Roots is where potato is made. So what would you say? If we say it can be like this. Roots store, like a potato plant has made a lot of glucose. It has a lot of glucose. It wants to store it for later purpose. So it's made a potato, and in potato, it's all the glucose is stored. So the roots has now the glucose, and now the leaf needed. So now what's the role? Now which part becomes the source? Roots. Which part becomes the sink? Leaves. So I hope you all understand this talk. Thank you for watching my video, guys. Bye.